After 15 years of isolation, a millionaire discovers incredible love with a poor cleaning lady. James stared out at the world beyond his mansion gates, the colors of life swirling in the suburban air. Children laughed and played. Parents waved from manicured lawns. It all felt so far away. 15 years had whittled his heart to a hollow shell. The laughter he once cherished lost in the echoing walls of his grand home. Guilt gnawed at his insides, a constant reminder of the tragic accident that claimed his family. Alone amidst the opulence, he felt trapped in a gilded cage, distant from the vibrant life that pulsed just beyond his eyes. Meanwhile, Maria hustled through the busy streets, every step steeped in purpose. At 27, she balanced 3 jobs just to scrape by. Today, she had takeout to deliver to the affluent neighborhood, her heart racing with dread and determination. The aroma of fried chicken wafted through the air as she navigated the gravel road, each crunch beneath her sneakers more daunting than the last. Was she really meant to step into this world? When she arrived at the towering mansion, she felt a mix of trepidation and curiosity. Her bright spirit collided with the darkened shadows of James's soul. At first, their conversations were awkward, filled with stutters and sidelong glances. Maria's laughter felt foreign in the cavernous halls, barely echoing off the emptiness in James's heart. Yet every casual meeting chipped away at the walls he built around himself. Her kindness pierced through his apathy. Little by little, he found himself looking forward to their encounters, her smile lighting a faint spark he thought long extinguished. "You are bringing color back into my life," he confessed one evening, his voice trembling with vulnerability. Maria caught her breath, surprised by the intensity behind his words. However, whispers of judgment flared around them like wildfires. James's wealthy friends watched in disapproval, their sneered remarks marring the budding warmth between them. "She's just a cleaning lady, James. You've worked hard to have it all," a voice hissed, velvet-gloved mockery gliding through the air. Meanwhile, Maria's family voiced their concerns, fear lurking in every corner as they worried for her future. The town fair loomed ahead, a cherished event gleaming with promise. James steeled himself, the vibrant lights twinkling overhead a stark contrast to the heaviness in his chest. As laughter enveloped him, he knew he had to fight for what mattered. The air around them tingled with anticipation as he took Maria's hand, drawing her close amidst the swirl of festive activity. "Maria," he said, heart pounding with purpose, "I love you." Yet, the moment it fell from his lips, an uncomfortable silence smothered the joyous atmosphere. Gasps floated through the crowd, disapproval etched on faces. The cheers faltered, leaving only judgment in its wake. With the weight of society pressing down on them, Maria stood at the edge of the fairground, wondering if she could step into the unknown with James. Could love transcend all the barriers that sat between them? Her heart raced, emotions colliding with every breath. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the tension crackled in the air like a live wire, Maria looked from the crowd to James, determination flooding her senses. Would she allow the world to dictate her heart's desires? Or would she choose to embrace the love that had dared to blossom? With the evening sky blazing above them, her choice loomed like a shadow, ready to shape their lives forever. Maria inhaled deeply, her heart pounding against her ribs. The whispers, the disapproving glances, the weight of their expectations, it all pressed down on her like a heavy cloak. She had fought so hard to carve a path through life, working countless hours, balancing bills on the edge of a knife. Now, here she stood, in a world so foreign, yet so painfully beautiful, tethered to a man whose world mirrored nothing of her own. James's eyes shimmered under the glow of the fair lights, hope pulsating beneath a veil of uncertainty. He watched her intently, willing her to see the truth in his eyes, to understand that love could offer a refuge from the expectations of society. But could it silence the disapproval? Could it drown out the gossip that followed them like shadows? Maria, he repeated softly, drawing her closer, the chaos around them fading into mere whispers. Please, just give us a chance. The pull of the crowd was overwhelming, and for every beat of her heart, the voices echoed louder: his friends, her family, the world around them, all warning her of the dangers that lay ahead. Yet, in this moment, all that mattered was the flicker of warmth that passed between them. I don't know, James, Maria replied, her voice shaking. What will they think? What if they're right? What if I'm just not enough? Enough? James laughed bitterly, shaking his head. You're more than enough. You've done what I thought was impossible. You made me feel alive again. His confession sent a shiver up her spine. She could feel the truth in his words. She had seen the way his smile returned, how his laughter mingled with hers, their bond deepening with every shared moment. But fear clawed at her heart. What would happen when the truth about their connection seeped into the cracks of their lives? Would it destroy them? With everyone watching, she felt small and transparent, like an intricate glass sculpture on display. James, I'm scared, she admitted, biting her lip to fight back tears. They let us be. They then let us not give them power over us, he interrupted, an urgency in his voice. You deserve happiness. We deserve happiness together. We can face this. I let them take you away from me, Maria. The resolve in his words sparked something within her. She glanced over the crowd, seeing the mixed expressions, judgment, intrigue, pity. But all that noise melted away as she focused back on James. Here was a man who had touched her life in the most unexpected way, who had pulled her from the depths of despair, if only to bring joy back into her heart. With newfound courage, she nodded. You're right. Let us not hide. I'm ready to face them. Together. The words felt liberating. As she took his hand, the thrill of rebellion coursed through her veins. The lights of the fair shone brighter, laughter bubbled around them, and for the first time, she felt a part of something bigger than herself, a real connection. As they stepped forward, hand in hand, their moment sparked change. Perhaps society's judgment would falter in the face of something genuine. Their love could be the very thing that challenges the status quo. But just as relief washed over her, a voice rang out from the crowd, slicing through the moment with a sharp edge. You can't be serious. A cleaning lady and a millionaire? What do you think you're doing, James? Maria froze, her heart dropping into her stomach. All eyes turned toward them, a sea of disapproval. James clenched her hand tighter. I'm doing what my heart tells me to do, he declared, meeting the gaze of his accuser with fierce determination. As the crowd murmured, Maria's breath quickened. This battle had only just begun. Would their love withstand the tidal wave of societal judgment? Could they truly find happiness amid chaos? With uncertainty flooding her thoughts, Maria wondered if she was ready to fight for love after all. The answer lingered in the air, heavy with promise and fear. The atmosphere shifted in an instant. Maria could feel the weight of judgment pressing against her skin, every gaze a reminder of the disparity between their worlds. Anger flared within her, but it was nothing compared to the fear lacing her thoughts. Who was she, really, to stand beside James? Look at them, shouted the voice again, cutting through the murmurs. This is nothing but a publicity stunt. A joke. The crowd began to ripple with laughter, but Maria felt only the shattering of her resolve. Her hand trembled slightly in James's grip, and she could see the lines of tension forming on his face as he faced the accusations. Enough, he boomed, his voice exploding into the night like fireworks. Maria is not a joke. She's the most genuine, caring person I know, and she deserves better than any of your opinions. His fierce defense wrapped around her like armor, but the laughter only grew. They were so quick to dismiss her, to label her as less than worthy. James, please, she said, turning her eyes to him, her heart aching. You don't have to, we can just leave. No. His eyes locked onto hers, unwavering. This is our moment. They can't tell us who we are or what we feel. We have to show them we want to be silenced. As he spoke, the flame within her ignited anew. The way he saw her, the way he believed in them, filled her with strength she didn't know she had. Maria straightened her back, drawing in a deep breath as she found her voice. What you all see is a joke. I see is a love that transcends boundaries, she declared, loud enough for the crowd to hear. I've worked and struggled, and I've been labeled for it. But it's made me who I am. I'm proud of who I am. The laughter dimmed, and a few murmurs of surprise rippled through the onlookers. I'm not here for your approval, she continued, her voice gaining momentum. James has shown me what it means to truly live. This relationship isn't about money or status. It's about connection, support, and understanding. A thick silence fell over the crowd, their expressions shifting from ridicule to curiosity. This was the moment she needed, the moment that could define her. Then the accuser spoke again, his tone laced with skepticism. And what happens when it gets hard? When your worlds collide and all this fairy tale nonsense crashes down? He smirked, challenging them. James stepped closer to her, raising a brow. Then we handle it. Together. His words echoed in the hushed air, a bond sealing them against the world. Maria felt a surge of warmth at his side, a quiet strength blooming in her chest. She suddenly understood. Their love would write their story, not the judgment or expectations. As the crowd's whispers morphed into conversations, she felt lighter, a sense of power rising within her. A group of onlookers now tilted their heads, some nodding in understanding. But with that newfound hope came a gut-wrenching fear. Would they ever truly accept her? The shadows of doubt still lingered, haunting her corners of thought. Then the accuser's voice returned, sharp and cutting, his next words like ice. So what's next, cleaning lady? How long until he tires of you? The question lingered like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over the small glimmer of courage she'd begun to build. Maria swallowed hard, the fight shifting inside her yet again. James, however, stepped forward, fists clenched at his sides, ready to face this daunting storm. What's next? We write our own future, and we're just getting started. With those words hanging in the air, Maria's heart raced. Was she ready to step into a future unknown? Could she truly carve her place next to him, despite the hurdles they faced? As she looked into his eyes, a fire ignited, leaving her breathless. The threat of doubt loomed, but the warmth of possibility shone brightly. Would she fight for this love, even when it terrified her? The crowd watched, the tension palpable. Their future had transformed into a battleground, but was she willing to wager her heart on love? As their gazes locked, Maria could almost hear her own heart whispering. What if? The next phase of their journey awaited, shrouded in uncertainty, but the promise of love pulsed like a heartbeat ready to take the next courageous step. The murmurs in the crowd began to swell again, as if the voices now shared an unspoken anxiety. Maria could feel her heart pounding heavily in her chest, drowning out everything else. She stood beside James, who radiated confidence, but the growing doubts inside her threatened to drown out his strength. Could their love really withstand this? Look around you. The accuser sneered, scanning the crowd. They're laughing at you. They're mocking this fairy tale. The crowd buzzed with mixed reactions, some laughing softly, while others looked pensive, wrestling with their own opinions. For every ally Maria felt she was gaining, another specter of judgment loomed larger. She pressed her lips together, unsure of what to say next, the weight of his words heavy against her. James tightened his grip on her hand, grounding her in that moment. They can laugh all they want, he declared, his voice steady, reverberating like a heartbeat through the growing unease. What matters is what we choose to build together. We have the power to define what this love means. She stared at him, admiration flooding her senses. It was in his eyes, the determination, the belief in them. Maria was starting to reclaim her own voice, but it still felt fragile. You don't have to defend me. I can handle this, she said, wanting to ease his burden. No, he replied, firmness in his tone. You deserve a partner who stands up for you. You're not alone in this. In that moment, Maria found herself wanting to lean into his strength rather than retreat from the onlookers. She felt her voice stirring once more, fueled by the certainty in his words and the warmth radiating from their connection. Maybe I'm not represented here in your world, she began, her voice steadying as she searched the crowd's faces, but I am real. I fight every day, not just to survive, but to thrive. This love is not easy, believe me. I know its challenges. A few whispers faded as Maria pressed on, emboldened, but if you look deeper, you'll see that it's raw and real. It matters, and no judgment can take that away. A wave of understanding washed through some faces, a flicker of recognition igniting the lies they'd been fed. But others remained skeptical, arms crossed in judgment, caught in their own perceptions. Come on. The man scoffed again, the sarcasm drenching his tone. When the money runs out, when reality hits, that connection will fade. We both know that. And there it was, the fear that had been clawing at her insides, the question she had danced around since day one. What if the world really caught up with them? What if their love was just a fleeting moment wrapped in fleeting bliss? James stepped closer, enough to feel the warmth radiating off him, giving her courage. I've seen her strength. Maria has fought harder than anyone I know. This relationship isn't built on money. It's built on loyalty, on passion, and on a vision of what is to come. Silence enveloped the crowd, the air thick with contemplation. Maria could see some faces soften, a touch of uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Maybe they were starting to see it. There was a truth between them, a bond that had survived the harshest storms. At that moment, the accuser raised his voice one final time, his words dripping with disdain. So, you think your love can conquer all? I guess we'll just see how long that lasts. Maria's heart sank for a split second, but then something shifted inside her. She knew she was more than the labels others placed on her. More than just a cleaning lady. With a determination she hadn't known she possessed, she spoke, raising her chin defiantly. Yes, we will see. Together, we will turn this into a story of resilience. A story of triumph over all you think we can't achieve. Murmurs filled the air again, but this time they felt different, like whispers of burgeoning hope clawing their way to the forefront. But the question still loomed heavy over them like a storm cloud. Would they really find the strength to push back against the hurricane of judgment? As she looked into James's eyes, she realized they each had a part to play. The journey was far from over. In that charged moment, something shifted in her. It wasn't just about fighting the world. It was about forging their path, together. And as the crowd slowly began to part, she could feel her heart racing again, not out of fear this time, but out of the thrill of possibility. What would they face next? Would love be enough to shield them against the storms brewing on the horizon? The answer felt tantalizingly close, and yet impossibly far. The crowd slowly began to drift apart, but the tension lingered like the last note of a moving symphony. Maria caught her breath, her heart still racing, but there was a flicker of hope ignited within her. As she turned to look at James, he wore a determined expression, unwavering in the face of doubt. Together, they stepped away from the gathering, leaving behind the whispers and doubtful eyes. Did you see that? Maria said, her voice a mix of disbelief and exhilaration. Some of them were actually listening. James nodded, his gaze fixed ahead. We opened a door, Maria. Not everyone will walk through it, but some will. As they moved through the park, away from prying eyes, Maria felt fatigue set in. The adrenaline that had propelled her forward now settled into her bones. What will they say next? Will they come after us again? The uncertainty washed over her, bringing with it threads of doubt. James paused, turning to face her. You can't focus on them. We have to focus on us. On what we're building. Maria looked down, letting the weight of her thoughts pin her gaze to the ground. That's easy for you to say. You come from a world where love is celebrated, where people support you. I'm still fighting every day just to be seen. He lowered himself to her eye level. And that makes you stronger than any of them. You've faced challenges that would make most people crumble. Don't you see the power you hold? Her heart swelled at his words, yet insecurity lingered. But what if they break us? What if they find a way to turn our love against us? Then we rise together, he said, his voice firm yet gentle. It's not about them. It's about what we share. We define our story. Maria felt a pulse of energy at his confidence. You're right, she breathed, lifting her chin as the path ahead opened up before them. But it still scares me. It should, he replied, a grin breaking through his thoughtful demeanor. Any journey worth taking is going to scare you at some point. But it's precisely that risk that makes it meaningful. As they walked further into the park, Maria felt the warmth of the sunlight on her skin. She could see families laughing on blankets, couples holding hands, children running shrieking with joy. The world around them was alive, filled with laughter and possibilities. Could it really be that they could find their own happiness here? But doubts nagged at her, pushing their way back into her mind. Even if we manage to persist, she started, searching for the right words. What happens when the world stops watching, when it's just us against everything? Will love be enough? James stopped again, his expression softer now. Love is only part of it. It's about choosing each other every single day. We need to communicate, to trust, and to fight for what we have. Then he added with a teasing glint in his eye, and maybe, if we get through this, I can convince you to try some overpriced sushi. She couldn't help but laugh, a real, genuine flicker of joy encasing her worries. You really think we can go out to a fancy restaurant after this? Why not? He replied, his smile contagious. Don't you want to make new memories? We'll introduce our love to a world beyond judgment. Her heart lightened as they shared a moment of laughter that cut through the dark clouds of uncertainty. Yet, beneath the levity there simmered the reality of the tumultuous road ahead. Maybe, he echoed, nudging her with an encouraging elbow. Maria, let us never look back and say what if. We're here right now. That's what matters. She turned her gaze to the horizon, feeling the first rays of possibility crack through her trepidation. All right, I'm in. But as they reached the edge of the park, a familiar face caught Maria's eye, a man she recognized, someone from her past, someone who could throw everything into chaos. What now? She whispered, her heart thudding in her chest. James followed her gaze, his expression shifting. Do you want to confront him? Maria hesitated, questioning whether confronting her past was worth the risk. Would it strengthen their bond or predictably fracture it? Only time would tell. Maria's breath caught in her throat as the man she had tried to forget drifted towards them. It was Alex, someone she hadn't seen in years, yet his presence felt magnetic, pulling her into a web of memories she thought she had escaped. The way he moved, confidently, glasses perched on his nose, spoke volumes. He resembled the man she used to know, yet there was a new hardness to his features that sent a chill down her spine. What do you want? She whispered, her voice barely a breath. James, sensing her tension, stepped slightly in front of her, instinctively protective. Let us just keep walking, he muttered, though his eyes fixed on Alex with a wariness that mirrored Maria's rising anxiety. But Alex called out, his tone smooth yet tinged with arrogance. Maria? Long time, no see. Against her better judgment, Maria felt herself halt. Curiosity mixed with dread, and she turned to face the man who had left such a mark on her past. What are you doing here, Alex? He flashed a confident smile. I could ask you the same, but I see you've upgraded. Quite the catch you've got here. He gestured towards James, a hint of mockery in his voice. Cut it out, James said, fists clenching slightly. This isn't the time or place. Maria felt conflicted. Her gut twisted with the memories of Alex, the toxic mixture of love and pain that had colored her younger years. Yet here she stood, with James, who treated her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Alex stepped closer, his expression softening, almost sincere. Listen, Maria, I didn't come to cause trouble. I just wanted to see how you were doing. Her mind raced. Could he really want to make peace? The lines between past and present blurred, and she felt vulnerable as shadows of old feelings stirred within her. What do you really want? She asked, keeping her voice steady but wary. I wasn't sure you'd ever get out of the place we were in, he admitted, his tone more earnest. I thought I'd find you stuck, but clearly, you've moved on. Of course, I have, she said defiantly. And I'm happier than you know. James nodded, reassuring her silently, anchoring her to the present. Good for you, Maria, Alex said, though there was a hint of annoyance in his voice. But you need to be careful. People like him don't last. They don't understand what it's like to fight for what they want. It's a harsh world out there. Maria's heart raced. She could feel the slight tremor in her hands, and for a moment, she wanted to run. She could give in to the past or stand firm in her present. Is that so? She shot back, her voice sharper than she intended. You think you know everything about my struggles? You don't get to decide what I'm capable of. James stepped forward, drawing a line between them. You don't get to control her. She's found her path, and it's not one you have a say in. For the briefest moment, Alex's smug expression faltered, revealing a glimmer of concern. Something shifted in the air, and Maria could sense a story untold, a line drawn in the sands of their history. Just remember, Maria, Alex said quietly, I know your weaknesses. Take care of yourself. With that, he turned and walked away, blending back into the crowd that stirred around them. Maria stood frozen, processing the confrontation as adrenaline coursed through her veins. James moved closer, sliding his hand into hers. "Hey, are you okay?" She nodded, though uncertainty gnawed at her. "I didn't expect to see him. I thought I had buried all of that." "You're stronger than anything from your past, Maria. You've proved that today." But even as he spoke, doubt clouded her mind. Was she really strong enough to face it all? Each step forward felt like a tightrope walk on the edge of the unknown. Maybe. But what if he tries to come back? James squeezed her hand tighter. "Then we'll handle it together. I'm here, right?" His eyes held a mix of vulnerability and reassurance that sent warmth through her. Suddenly overwhelmed, Maria felt the weight of her past and the fear of the future crashing down. But deep down, maybe it was another chance to redefine her story. As they turned to leave the park, she glanced back one last time. "What'll he do next?" James offered a determined smile. "Whatever it is, we will face it together." They walked on, the weight of uncertainty riding their shoulders, but the taste of hope lingered sweet on their tongues. And just when she thought the storm had passed, Maria's phone buzzed in her pocket, a text from an unknown number lighting up the screen. "I'm not done with you yet." Maria's heart sank as she read the message. The words seemed to echo around her, drowning out the sounds of the bustling park. She fished her phone out of her pocket with shaking hands, staring at the screen as if it could offer her answers. "What's wrong?" James's voice was soft, his brow furrowed in concern. "It's just a message. From an unknown number." Her insides twisted, recalling Alex's warning. James's expression hardened. "Do you want me to look at it?" No. She took a deep breath, trying to ground herself. "I need to handle this." With a half-hearted smile, she tried to appear unfazed, but her pulse quickened with every second that passed. What did Alex mean by it? His words played on repeat in her mind, wrapping around her like a vice. She had come so far, yet here was this reminder of a past she didn't want to revisit. "Should we go home?" James asked, glancing at her with an intensity that spoke of his desire to protect her. Maria shook her head slowly. "No, I don't want to hide. Let us keep walking." They meandered down the pathway, surrounded by families enjoying their day, laughter echoing like a foreign melody in her ears. Each cheerful giggle felt like a cruel juxtaposition to the dread slowly inching its way back into her heart. How could things be so light for everyone else, while she felt as though a storm brewed just for her? James noticed her distraction, squeezing her hand. "Talk to me. What is going on in that head of yours?" The sincerity in his voice cut through her haze. I thought I was finally free of him. Seeing Alex again has stirred up so many emotions." "You're not bound to him anymore," James said firmly. "You know that, right? You're with me now." "Yeah, but what if he tries to reach out?" If this message is just the beginning, her voice trailed off, the uncertainty of what lay ahead weighing heavy on her. "Then you block him. You don't have to engage. Blocking him feels aggressive. What if he just wants to talk?" She replied, the conflict within her deepening. "Talking usually leads to more confusion. Trust me, it's better to keep him at a distance," James said. There was no mistaking the conviction in his words. Taking a deep breath, Maria nodded. "You're right. I thought I was done having to deal with him. But you have me, and that's what matters," he reassured her, and for a moment, the weight lifted slightly. Yet the familiar tightening in her chest remained. She couldn't shake the feeling that Alex wasn't done. As they rounded a corner, Maria spotted a small cafe tucked away beneath the trees. The aroma of fresh coffee slipped into her senses, and the thought of something warm brought a flicker of comfort. "Let us stop for a moment. I need a distraction." They settled at a cozy table outside, the sun spilling warmth over them. Maria took a sip of her latte, burying herself in the warmth of the cup, trying to push away her thoughts. Just then, James's phone buzzed with a notification, and he pulled it out with a curious expression. "Looks like I got a message too," he said with a slight laugh as he opened it. Maria leaned over to see, but her heart plummeted when she noticed the number. It was also unknown, but not the same as the one she received. "Who is it?" she asked, a lump forming in her throat. James frowned, his carefree demeanor slipping as he read the words. "It says, 'I know Maria. I'll be watching.'" Maria's face drained of color, and all hope of a peaceful afternoon vanished in an instant. Fear surged through her veins. "James," she trembled. "What if this is connected? I won't let anyone hurt you. I promise," he said, his voice low and intense. As they exchanged worried glances, the world around them faded. The cafe, the bustling streets, everything blurred into a mere background to the new danger unfolding. Suddenly, Maria felt the ground beneath her shift. Was this just the beginning of a nightmare she thought she'd left behind? Unbeknownst to them, a shadow loomed closer, drawing their paths tighter. Even as they gripped each other's hands, the escalating threat loomed like dark clouds. On the horizon, sparking a fresh wave of anxiety. What would happen when the storm broke? Maria's heart raced as she absorbed the implications of the message. The idea that someone was keeping an eye on her, even now, felt like ice sliding down her spine. She could hardly hear the ambient noise of the cafe anymore. Her world was reduced to the weight of James's hand in hers and the ominous words staring back at her from his screen. "Should we call the police?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. James shook his head, his expression serious. "Let us not jump to conclusions just yet. For now, let us focus on ensuring you're safe." His gaze darted around the cafe, but he held her gaze steady. It was a mixture of determination and fury, like he wasn't entirely sure how to fight the looming threat, but he was ready to protect what mattered most to her. Maria nodded, but the lingering anxiety gnawed at her. "What if it's someone I know? Someone close? Or it could be a prank," he suggested, trying to inject a sense of ease into the tension. "We want to give them power over us." That thought resonated deep within her, but the shadow of doubt lingered. She picked at the edges of the paper napkin frayed in her fingers, barely hearing the sounds around them, the clinking of coffee cups, the quiet chatter of other patrons, the laughter of children fading into the distance. "Do you want to get out of here?" James asked, his voice breaking through the fog. "Yeah, let us go," she replied, her heart feeling both heavy and guarded. They left the cafe, stepping into the sunlight that felt both warm yet distant. It was as if the world had moved on, blissfully unaware of the dark cloud hovering over them. As they strolled down the street, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Each glance over her shoulder sent a pulse of fear racing through her. "Look, we should contact someone," James urged gently as they approached his car. "A friend, or even a private investigator. Just to be sure." "Maybe it's too much," she suggested hesitantly. "I mean, I've already dealt with Alex. I don't want to make this a bigger deal if it's nothing. Maria, if someone is watching you, it's not nothing. You deserve peace of mind." His conviction made her heart swell and ache at the same time. James's unwavering support made her feel stronger, but the fear still weighed heavy in the pit of her stomach. "Okay, let us think about it," she said, conceding to his concern while feeling a spark of hope amidst the dread. As they drove, silence settled between them. The air in the car felt thick with unspoken thoughts. Maria stared out the window, watching the world flash by, wishing it would wash away her fears. Suddenly, James's phone buzzed again, breaking the quiet. Maria's pulse quickened. What if it was another message? "Just a notification," he said, glancing at her as if reassuring her without saying a word. "But we should really keep our phones close. Just in case." She nodded, tucking her phone into her pocket, but when they reached a red light, she found herself glancing at his screen. The words "warning, unknown sender" flashed across it, and her heart sank. "What is it?" she asked, anxiety creeping in. "Just a message about an app update. Nothing to worry about." He smiled, but she could see the doubt dancing in his eyes. They continued driving, but every second felt like an eternity. The sensation of being watched wrapped around her like a tightening noose. James pulled into her driveway, and as they sat there in the stillness, Maria felt a surge of bravery. "Can we check my phone again? There might be something more." Just before she could reach for it, there was a figure in the corner of her eye, a shadow moving across her front yard. "What was that?" James asked, leaning slightly closer to the windshield. Maria's breath caught in her throat. As she squinted through the windshield, the figure turned, and for a brief moment, she could see them clearly, a hooded person standing outside, aware of their every breath. "Stay in the car," James instructed, his voice low and steady. The air grew heavier, tension crackling like static electricity. Maria's heart thudded as James took a deep breath, ready to confront whatever danger lurked outside. What would they do now? James's muscles tensed. The world outside seemed to fall silent. He turned to Maria, his eyes fierce. "Lock the doors," he commanded, and she hurried to comply, her hands shaking as she fumbled with the locks. The hooded figure remained still, just standing there, as if they were waiting for something. Maria's heart raced. It felt as if they were staring into a void. She could see the outline of the person's face barely illuminated by the fading sunlight, a haunting presence that twisted her stomach with anxiety. James slowly opened his door, and Maria grabbed his arm. "Wait, what are you doing?" "I need to see who it is," he insisted, his voice firm but low, like a whisper meant to cut through the thick tension. "Please, don't," she cried out, her fear bubbling over. "We don't know what they want." But James was already stepping out, a protective instinct taking over. The figure didn't move, and a shiver of dread pulsed through her. She watched as James took a cautious step forward. "Hey, who are you?" he called out, his voice steady but edged with uncertainty. The figure didn't respond. Instead, they tilted their heads slightly, as if assessing him. For a moment, Maria dared to hope this was just a misunderstanding, that it was some lost neighbor or maybe a friend playing a joke. But those slumped shoulders and hooded head felt ominous. "James, come back," she shouted, her desperation clawing at her throat. As he took another step closer, the figure lifted their hand. A small phone emerged from the pocket of their oversized coat, the screen lighting up with a harsh glow. Maria squinted to see what was happening. Panic gripped her when she realized the figure was filming him. "Stop it," James yelled, his voice echoing in the stillness of the evening. "James." Maria's heart sank further. She could sense the danger swelling and twisting like a dark serpent ready to strike. Without thinking, she opened her door and leapt out, racing to his side. "We need to go. Right now?" "Stay back, Maria," James warned, still focused on the figure. But Maria refused to back down. "You don't understand. We can't stay here." Suddenly, the figure turned and darted away, disappearing into the shadows of the trees lining her yard. James cursed under his breath, taking one last second to survey the area. "Did you get a good look at them?" Maria breathed, her voice trembling. He shook his head, frustration creeping into his features. "No, but we need to figure this out. Someone is clearly trying to mess with you." As he glanced around, Maria felt the ground shift beneath her. "What if it's about Alex? What if he sent them?" "Then we need to take action, but in a smart way," James said, determination shining in his eyes. "I'll help you." They hurried back to the car, the weight of the moment crashing around them like a frigid wave. Maria's mind raced as they climbed inside. "What do we do?" "First, we need to check your phone. We need to know what we're up against." She nodded, her pulse racing. Now that the figure was gone, she felt a strange mixture of fear and adrenaline surging through her. James started the car and drove off slowly, casting wary glances into the mirrors, ensuring they weren't followed. As Maria fished her phone from her pocket, she felt a heavy weight of dread settle in once more. She pressed the screen and the notifications flooded in. James leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "What's there?" he asked, his tone a blend of urgency and concern. Maria's eyes widened as she saw a new message from an unknown number. It's from the same person," she stammered, her hands trembling. "They're back." And as she read the message aloud, her voice dropping to a whisper, she could hear the echo of danger approaching, the very real threat now looming over them, clawing closer with every moment. "Meet me at the old warehouse." You know why? The weight of those words hung heavily in the air between them. What were they walking into? They exchanged a look filled with silent determination entwined with fear, suddenly aware that their lives were about to change. Regardless of the path they chose next. "Are we going?" Maria asked, her heart pounding. "Yeah," James replied, gripping the steering wheel tightly as they prepared to confront the unknown. "But first, we need to decide what we're willing to risk." And as they drove toward the impending confrontation, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a far darker game. What awaited them in the shadows of the warehouse? Maria's heart thundered in her chest as they parked in front of the old warehouse, its looming silhouette cloaked in darkness. The air was thick with tension, and each breath felt like inhaling the weight of 1,000 unspoken fears. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, her voice trembling despite her best efforts to appear steadfast. James turned to her, his expression a mixture of determination and concern. "We have to know what we're dealing with. I won't let them intimidate you. We're in this together." She swallowed hard, grateful for his support, yet apprehensive about what lay ahead. On three then, he suggested, trying to keep the mood light. His attempt at humor broke through the tension just enough to make her smile, and she nodded. 1, 2, 3. They stepped out of the car and together made their way toward the entrance, the sound of their footsteps echoing against the metal walls. As they approached, Maria squinted into the darkness. "It's so quiet," she whispered, her skin prickling with unease. "Too quiet." James tightened his grip on her hand. "Stay close," he warned softly. They reached the entrance, an old, creaky door that seemed to groan under the weight of memories. Taking a deep breath, James pushed it open, the door creaking like a tired old man. Inside, the atmosphere was damp and cold, filled with stale air that smelled of rust and faded paint. Shadows danced along the walls, and she instinctively leaned into James, who was scanning the space with fierce intensity, every muscle primed and ready. "Do you see anyone?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Not yet," he replied, his eyes narrowed. "But keep your guard up." Just then, the echo of footsteps bounced off the walls, steady and deliberate. Maria's stomach knotted. An instant later, a figure stepped into the faint light filtering through grime-covered windows. It was Alex. "Hello, Maria James," he said, his voice smooth but laced with something darker. "You thought you could just walk away from me?" Maria's breath hitched, part shock and part anger. "What do you want, Alex?" She stepped forward, defiance bubbling within her. "I wanted to show you that some things don't just vanish. You can't escape your past," he said, smirking. "And you, James, aren't as safe as you think." James stepped protectively in front of her. "Stay away from her. You don't intimidate us," he warned, his voice steady as steel. "Oh, but I do," Alex chuckled, taking another step closer, his eyes narrowing with malice. "You don't know who I am. You don't know the lengths I'll go to remind her of what she's spent so long trying to forget. Get out of our lives," Maria shouted, her voice echoing in the vast emptiness. "You're nothing but a ghost." "But ghosts have a way of lingering," he replied silkily, the smirk still clawing at his lips. "And didn't you tell me once that you're terrified of the dark?" James turned slightly, looking at Maria. "Is that true?" His voice held concern, and she felt the fiery anger within her coincide with an overwhelming vulnerability. "Yes," Maria shot back at Alex, rising to the challenge, her voice razor-sharp. "But I'm also not afraid to fight for what's mine." Warmth spread through her as she felt James's hand squeeze hers tighter. She was more than the past that haunted her. She was defined by the strength she had built. "Here's the thing," Alex continued, unfazed. "You can fight, but you can't win against time. You'll slip and fall, and when you do, I'll be right there to pick up the pieces." James's jaw clenched. "You need to leave. Now." With a smirk, Alex took a step back, raising his hands in mock surrender. "All right, but make no mistake, things are going to get messy. I'm not done yet." With that, he turned, melting into the shadows without another word. The moment he was gone, a heavy silence filled the air, settling like a curtain over the two of them. "Did he really just?" Maria began, but James interrupted quickly, spinning to face her. "Maria, are you okay? He's trying to rattle you." "I know," she said, her voice still shaky. "But it's like he's found all of my weak points. I feel so exposed." "Don't be." He cupped her face in his warm hands, looking deep into her eyes. "You're stronger than that. We've faced the worst today, and we're still standing together." His gaze ignited something within her, a fire that began to flicker with hope. "What do we do next?" she asked, her confidence hesitantly returning. "First, we leave this place. And then, we get ahead of this. We can't let him continue to have this kind of power over you." Relief washed over her. "Okay, but how?" James took a step back, eyes narrowed with determination. "We need to gather evidence. Reach out to the people he knows. Maybe even contact a private investigator. Show him we won't live in fear." Maria nodded, feeling the surge of determination flood back in. "You're right. He can't control me. Not anymore." Together, he reassured, slipping his hand back into hers. With hearts still racing, they stepped out of the warehouse, the shadows no longer looming as they stepped into the light. What had once felt like a prison was now a catalyst for change. They were going to fight together, forging their own path against whatever dark forces threatened them. As they stepped out of the gloom and back into the vibrant world bathed in daylight, Maria felt empowered. Love wouldn't shield them from challenges, but it would steady their resolve. And as they drove away from the past, she felt a wave of hope wash over her. They'd face whatever came next, together. Now, beloved audience, this is your moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Comment your feelings about this powerful ending and what you think will happen next for Maria and James. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our channel through these actions. Thank you.